I just wish the freaking lighting in my house was better. But
Nah, it's
what
okay,
I
dude.
can do, hold on.
Dude, yeah, you look a little like if you take a little bit step back, you know, when they have like those guys that are coming on, like they don't want to be seen and they have the voice like those, you know, guys are telling that ratting somebody out. He's really shaded out right there.
His identity is being protected.
That's where I was going with it.
Welcome to another off-season episode of the Always Sunday Football Podcast. I'm Dave. I'm joined, as I am every episode, by Anthony. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm great, sir. How are you? Oh, that's
Great. Go Galaxy Girls. And we're also joined by somebody who their name and their voice will be changed and their face are going to be completely changed for this episode. But for now, we'll call him John. Hey, what's up, John?
How are you doing?
It's like exactly what I expected it to sound like.
Nice work. Well done. Yeah, so John and I haven't edited it yet because I figured we would talk about the draft now, and then maybe what I'll do is cut the actual live cuts in for the picks, because what we did was we watched only the first 15 picks, right? We watched through the first half of the first round of the draft because you can't watch the entire draft. You're a psychopath if you watch the entire draft. But we'll talk about draft winners and losers, and then we'll talk about the schedule, which has recently been released.
Oh,
look, his shirt is satin. He's got a satin shirt.
Yeah, he does have a satin shirt.
Man, oh man, that dude be sweating.
My man is.
Yes, sir.
You need a towel, you know, like.
Yeah. And like when he puts his arms to the side, the shirt is like opening at the buttons, so you know it's on there tight. He's gonna have to have somebody give him help to get that shirt off later. It's like a two-person operation.
Oh man! All right, come on, the Will Levis pick. Let's let the Raiders do Raider things.
Hey, look, you know, give the kid a chance. It's draft night. Don't be so negative, John. It's the biggest moment of his life. John's like, this kid fucking sucks. So, first things first, John, I know when we spoke, you said you had a couple of takes about teams that coming out of the draft. So I'll let you start it off because I don't know if you want to go positive or negative first.
Yeah, I'm going to go positive first, and your boy Anthony's not going to like this segment at all.
Right. I wanted you to bring it up so that I didn't look like the one always talking about this team.
I'm sorry.
I talked about them a lot last season. John, take it away.
So I'm sorry to say this, but I'm on the Eagles train. I don't think it's even close. They picked up every single player from Georgia, so you might as well call them, you know, the Georgia Eagles, because literally they drafted everybody from Georgia. Number one.
Georgia.
They absolutely stole the draft. I mean, it's literally unfair, the guys they picked up. And where they got them. I mean, they got Jalen Carter, like absolute steal.
Chicago Bears traded the ninth pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. With the ninth pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Carter.
Let's go! Oh my goodness, it's over, bro. It's absolutely over.
Defensive line. He's a good.
I'm calling it right now.
I'm
calling it right now, Dave. Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Eagles. Write it down.
Duly noted, John. Yeah, no, the Eagles are good. They're restocking that defensive front seven with potentially, you know, arguably the best actual pure athlete in the draft. But, you know, and I think that's a locker room that he can be kept on the right path. They say he doesn't take hard coaching, but Sirianni seems like he's not like a dickhead coach, at least not what not what they seem, outwardly. Seems like the players really like him, and I think that the Eagles culture is a good culture.
Nolan Smith, absolute steal. Like, just based on the first round, I was like, wow, like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I feel so bad for Anthony because you got to play these guys twice a year. They're absolutely going to smoke the Giants. Sorry to say that. Like, I don't like. I think they're going to smoke the Cowboys. I think they're gonna be one of those teams where they're going to lose like 3 games during the regular season. I just don't see it.
Yeah, they're going to be very, very good.
So I'm going to put it that way. Let me go with a negative. I absolutely did not like how the Lions drafted.
Detroit Lions select Jameer Gibbs, running back. Alabama.
Jameer Gibbs. Why?
Exactly. That's okay. First of all, RIP. Let me be the first to bring this breaking news to you. DeAndre Swift is fucking dead. RIP DeAndre Swift, ladies and gentlemen, because they signed David Montgomery, right? And now they draft Jameer Gibbs to do exactly what DeAndre Swift, RIP. We hardly knew ye.
So sad, man. He was so electric.
He's a trade candidate now, don't you think? Maybe get a day 2 pick for him or something. Yeah. Maybe a day 3 pick for him. What are you going to do with DeAndre Swift now after you paid David Montgomery and you just draft Jameer Gibbs? I mean, I think it's an interesting play, but like DeAndre Swift, poof, be gone.
I didn't like they had running backs. I mean, DeAndre Swift is decent, and you drafted that high for a running back. I think that the value there wasn't worth it. I think the team needed a little bit more of defensive line help, maybe get another receiver in there. There was plenty of receivers there for the taking, and they didn't take anything to help their team out. Shame on the GM for the Lions. And the Lions are going to be one of those middle-of-the-pack teams. I'm sorry to say this, but they're going to be a team that they're going to have to score a lot of points to win games. And that defense is going to be easily in fantasy. Whoever's playing the Detroit Lions, that team is scoring like at least 24 points a game. Easy.
Yeah, their offense is going to have to throw the ball a lot, and they're going to be fun for fantasy on both sides of the ball. So I think that's positive. Anthony, what were your takeaways from the draft? Did anything jump out at you? Okay. So how did you feel about the Giants draft?
For these beloved Giants, I think they had their yet again second year in a row. I mean, some questionable picks as always, but they had those boxes to check. They checked them, right? I mean, no. You don't agree?
No, the receiver they got like the 10th best guy, and they badly need. They still have no number 1 receiver. John, like right or wrong?
I'm gonna say I thought that Deontay Banks was a bit of a reach. When you guys could have grabbed the receiver there, that was.
There was. I don't think there was anybody left. It went like 4 in a row receivers after like, it was like 19, 20, 21, 22 were like receivers. And then I don't agree on them moving up one position for that guy unless they knew that whoever they I forgot who they traded with. They traded up 1 pick for him and gave away a 5th and a 7th. Do you think he was going to get right there?
To get Hyatt?
Yeah. No.
I thought it was worth.
They went from 26 to 25 or 25 to 24. They moved up 1 spot in the first
round. But they
round.
didn't take the receiver in the first round, is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. They went. I thought that was just stupid to move up to take 1 position to take that guy and give away a 5th and a 7th.
Yeah, well.
This is just my opinion, whatever. Like, I thought that was something that you guys needed to have a young receiver to help out Daniel Jones, especially with that contract. You got to give the guy help. You do what you got to do during the draft to give him a young receiver, especially when you guys traded away Kadarius Toney. You got to address that position, and you did address it later in the draft, but you could have had a Zay Flat, like some of these guys that were
Flowers went before, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
the guys, to me, in my opinion, that they probably would have wanted weren't there. I mean, Paris Campbell, not the answer.
Yeah,
if he stays healthy, not a bad wide receiver to have. This Wyatt kid, Matt, I don't know the deep threat, but I mean, we can't forget Waller. That's a target and a problem to add. not in the position you want, but at least as a receiver, he's going to take over in the middle. I think he's going to get a lot of targets over the middle. So yes, they maybe, you know what? Maybe the plan was to then do this, but if you look at I'm not looking at it right now, but I remember it. It was just I was like, okay, we're going to get the receiver, we're going to get that like one of those first round guys, and then it was like I think Baltimore started it. I think like Baltimore went
It
receiver.
was Seattle. So Seattle picked up Jackson Smith, Njigba. Then it was Quentin.
This guy.
How many
Then
times?
Jordan-
Wow. Stop the show. Stop the show. Congratulations, John. Congratulations. That was super smooth. Super smooth. Anthony, any words in this occasion? I mean, this is a big deal.
This is huge, and I want to that was so professional by you, John. And I want to know how many times you said that dude's name before this.
Did you practice it? Good question.
No, I did not. No, I didn't. I've just heard his name so many times. I'm like, how do you mispronounce his name? If you've heard his name,
Wow. Good for you. Hey, go on. Anyway, continue with what you were saying.
So, in my opinion, when you started seeing, especially when Zay Flowers got drafted, I would be picking up the phone because the Vikings didn't need to grab a receiver there. I thought it was kind of that was your time to trade up to get a Jordan Addison, and Jordan Addison, in my opinion, was worth the trade up. In my opinion, we'll see. It's just that, in my opinion, Banks might be the next Eli Apple for you guys, which might not pan out. So that's the thing. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen to you guys, that he's the next Eli Apple for you guys. You guys draft the guy and he ends up not panning out in your secondary.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up the
No, it went
receivers that went.
I had all of them, or just around where the Giants were.
Well, the Giants did not select a receiver. Who are the receivers who got picked after the Giants did not pick a receiver in the first round?
Okay, I got you. In the first round?
Yeah.
None.
And then, so wait, where did Jordan? Oh, so Addison had gotten picked before that.
Right
He
before
was picked by the
he was
Vikings.
last- yeah, he
Yeah,
was-
I see. I agree with John. The Giants should have done what they needed to do to trade up so that they could get a receiver, one of the key receivers. And
Maybe
they didn't do it.
I mean, they should have, but maybe they didn't think that the Vikings they had the chance to. They were planning on maybe moving up that one spot to get homeboy, but the fucking Vikings went on it, dude. It went.
Yeah, see, that's why you gotta
Seattle,
jump up.
Seattle receiver, Chargers, which was to me shocking receiver. They had they drafted rookie last year maybe, and just lots of depth even so, and then not good depth, but anyway. And then Baltimore, bang, right after paying Odell $18 million, they were like, bang, we're gonna get against Zay Flowers. And then Minnesota, I didn't think they were, so maybe they weren't prepared. Maybe they thought one of those guys would have been to fall.
I guess they must have thought that, but you have to assure yourself that's what trading up is for. You trade up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I did want to let you guys know, I think that the drafting wasn't too far fetched. For an example, Smith Njigba, that receiver core with Tyler Lockett, he's getting a little bit older. Maybe you draft his predecessor, Keenan Allen.
See there, it's
Keenan,
replacement.
Yeah, you're replacing your getting old receivers. The Chargers, Keenan Allen's been on that team forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's, injury prone. You got to take that position. Zay Flowers, no brainer there. And then Adam Thielen's also getting a little older. Who's going to be his replacement?
He's not there anymore.
Oh, so that would be the replacement.
Addison is going to start right away. Yeah, he's going to play on the other side. He's going to probably be pretty decent because the defense is going to be so focused on Justin Jefferson. Yeah, no, I think the Giants made a big, huge mistake by not getting him one of those key receivers. Another team that doesn't get off the hook. John and I talked about it. Maybe I'll cut that part in right now, but it's when the Jets passed on JSN, Smith Njigba, when they drafted that pass rusher kind of out of left field, which they love to do, and they left the receiver on the board because if you put him in the slot next to Garrett Wilson, just like it was in college, now that receiver core for Aaron Rodgers was really, really scary.
Patriots literally traded back to fuck the Jets, by the way. Just want to let you know.
No, there was no way that they could have known, but it just probably tastes really super sweet for them. But
yeah,
again,
in my opinion right now,
I'll tell you what, if the
either
Jets, if the Jets get JSN here, that's not going to be tasting any sweet for anybody in that division, because now you really, like I said, they don't have a second receiver on the team. They don't have a tight end who's really a pass catching threat. They have Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, who's coming off an ACL. So he's going to take time. You need another offensive weapon. I think, again, I don't know anything about anything, but I think it would be really fun for fantasy to see the Jets pick JSN right here.
Yeah.
Teams wouldn't be able to just completely blanket coverage Garrett Wilson. You'd have to put some, you know what I mean? I think it presses defenses at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also okay with them picking up Christian Gonzalez. They have I forgot that the linebacker Nolan Smith from Georgia is still on the board. He's the other pass rusher. I'm okay with them going defensive here as well. But
Yeah.
in terms of offense, another guy we haven't talked about is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is pretty legit.
I think JSN is the clear-cut number one receiver in the class.
Yeah.
I
In
think.
terms of talent, yes, correct.
Yeah. So to me, it's like no-brainer.
With the 15th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets. Will McDonald, linebacker, Iowa State. Let's go.
Iowa State linebacker, John, you looked puzzled.
As a set of school records and tied for the most in the nation in 2020, 10.5 sacks.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I can see that. Your face, man. You look like you just sucked on a lemon, bro. You all right? Smell something weird? Something weird smell?
Why? I mean, like, he was good in his conference, but
Iowa State, they churn out big hosses.
I mean, he didn't play any, like,
I've never heard of this guy before. They need an edge rush. He's an edge rush.
yeah, but they could have picked up Nolan Smith from Georgia.
But, hey, it's the Jets. Well, I'll tell you this. Douglas has gotten a little bit of leeway to make these picks, right? Like he got the offensive and defensive rookie of the year last year, so you got to give him a chance to see how this kid pans out. They have a solid receiver room, but not what it could have been. And so, I think they are another team that really blew it with the receiver, with not drafting a receiver.
You think?
Yeah, they should have drafted Smith and Jigwa right there at that pick.
There was plenty of guys that they could have took over this guy, Will McDonald. Yeah, Will
right.
McDonald.
That's why the special player at that point in the draft was JSN. He was the special player, and they could definitely have started him from day one, and they didn't do it. So to me, that could end up burning them in the end. Both the Jets not drafting him, and then the Giants not getting one of those big guys, because Hyatt is a one-trick pony in my opinion. He has yet to play, so he could definitely prove me wrong, but I think he's a one-trick pony. So
Deep threat.
yeah, like okay.
I mean, Slayton was overthrown a lot. We'll see.
Can we also say that I thought it was a little bit of a reach for Bijan Robinson? That was a reach, man. 8th overall pick on a team that really needed some.
Does it need so much more work?
Yeah, it's great for fantasy football, not great for real football.
Yeah,
because they do run the ball well, so it's fine. Like, it's good for fantasy, but their scheme is very good. Like, he'll be good for fantasy. Bijan will be good for fantasy right away, but the team is going to win like 4 games, and they'll be picking to the top of the draft again.
With the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Bijan Robinson.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy is going to absolutely waste his career in Atlanta.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen there. Like, I don't see them. Although Tyler Algier had fantasy relevance towards the end of the fantasy season. So if Tyler Algier could have fantasy relevance, then Bijan can have fantasy relevance. But this is like a Barry Sanders situation, man. He's just going to like waste away. He's one of those guys who signs his second contract with the Patriots and wins a championship.
How about them Colts? How do you like? I said I feel like what's his name was going before.
Oh, there you go. Colts draft Anthony Richardson.
Wow. You just got on your phone?
Yeah, it popped up as I was looking.
Damn it, man. Hey,
That's pretty good. You
Yeah.
don't like it?
I do like that pick. I like it over Will Levis, in my opinion.
Anthony, what's your opinion of Anthony Richardson?
Freak of nature.
Okay. Elaborate. I mean, go on.
I mean, it's high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Okay. That's fair. John, how do you feel?
I don't like the situation he's going in, and he's going in and playing right away. I think he needs to polish a little bit more of those mechanics. You could be a freak of nature, man, but you're in the NFL, you're with the big boys. You're gonna get a pass rush that's gonna be a lot more faster. You're gonna have to read defenses. They didn't ask him to do much over in Florida. He didn't play enough, in my opinion. So my big knock on Anthony Richardson is, he's got all the mechanics to be successful, but his best, and everybody's comparing him to Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, that guy is not as polished. Like, Jalen Hurts had plenty of experience in college and played in different offenses. Anthony Richardson is super, super raw. I think that he could have been very good. I wish him the best. It's going to be a very rough rookie season for your boy.
Well, Jalen Hurts didn't come out of the gate swinging. He got better with time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Jalen Hurts was my example to John of why I think, Anthony Richardson is good. And I like the fit there. I like the coaching staff for him. I like the scheme for him. The team around him isn't really terrible as far as skill position players and everything else. So I like it. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. But yeah, I agree with John in that I don't think he's going to have, maybe I think he'll do a little better than John thinks he will do, but he's not going to be like a starter in this year as far as fantasy is concerned. Maybe he could have that second year leap to fantasy relevance, but this first year, they'll struggle as a team. But I think, overall in the long run, I like him a lot.
He'll pull a Justin Fields game where he just like runs more than the running back and has a little mixture of it for sure. I think that's what it'll be.
Do not draft Jonathan Taylor next year. That's a big thing that I'm going to be staying away from next year.
Maybe they're going to do a dual running back right there, running back, quarterback.
We'll see how they do the read option. I mean, I like, he definitely needs to develop more as a passer because, I don't know if you've ever seen any Florida Gator games, but he's doing the little read option, and all he's doing is throwing over the top, and there's nobody there. That's all his highlights is like wide open guys. Like, they're not asking him to do much. It's just a great scheme, knew how to draw up the play, and it's not much of reading an offense.
I think that he'll be just fine in that role. I think they'll be able to scheme the offense for him. I think he'll be like, I'm looking forward to it. I'll say that. I'm looking forward to it. Did anybody see, moving on to the Panthers, did anybody see that video of Bryce Young behind the offensive line? Anthony, did you see it?
No.
John, we talked about it a little bit. He looks like they let a third grader take a snap. It's crazy. It's crazy.
5'10", 5'9".
I don't really believe that he's 5'10". I think he's listed at 5'10", but he looks, and maybe, to his defense, maybe it's a bad camera angle because it is like a person standing far away and on the ground. So it's like the worst possible camera angle for him, but he looked like a child, like a little kid back there in comparison to the offensive line taking that snap. It was jarring to see. Yeah. It's
how you
get
what you can't see? Can't find it.
Did like that they drafted in the second round Jonathan Mingo in the second round. They got him a receiver. So I did think that Carolina drafted very well for their young quarterback. I thought that they were one of the winners from the draft. They drafted really well. They knew exactly going in there what they needed to address, and they did it.
Agree. Yeah, no, I think Mingo is an interesting rookie. That landing spot is great. So I'm with you 100%. With you 100%. Anthony, any Mingo takes?
I like the
You
name.
Mingo guy? Yeah, I know. It's just fun. That's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm asking you, just because I like to say Mingo.
I want to see a young Mingo out there. You know, a young to
Yeah.
Mingo.
Young to
Hey,
Mingo.
can we do a like a feel good story? Joey
Go
Porter
ahead.
Jr. getting drafted.
Yeah, talk about
I
it.
like that story. So
That's all you got. You just
yeah,
like it.
well, what I'm gonna
That was
say
it.
about it is, I don't know if you saw that. He was really upset that he didn't get drafted in the first round. A lot of guys thought that he would be drafted in the first round, similar to the Will Levis. And I'm gonna let Dave take over on Will Levis because I cannot stand Will Levis. We'll talk about that later. But I thought that was a really good feel good story. That he got drafted from his, to his dad's team. Kind of has a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. I'm actually going to be cheering for this guy next year. I really hope that he goes into training camp. He wins the starting job, playing corner. And I really hope this kid, goes out and balls out for a great organization, good coaching staff there. So really hoping that story right there is just you have nothing but good things to say about Joey Porter. He played great in Penn State, was a really good corner out there, and definitely got gypped out of a first round pick because he was definitely first round material. Also, Christian Gonzalez, I think the corners definitely got jibbed. Like Emmanuel Forbes got drafted. I was like, typical commander thing. So just going based on corners, I thought the corners were a little bit ranked low. And definitely, I think that some of these corners that came out in the first and second round could definitely make a huge impact on their teams.
I'm gonna just go ahead and start talking about Will Levis. He's awesome. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that he fell into a pretty great situation. I think that he, playing on the Titans, being behind Ryan Tannehill, like he's not going to beat Tannehill for the starting job this year. And if he does, that's amazing. It's like that's a Russell Wilson situation you got on your hands where if he comes in there and beats Ryan Tannehill in camp, then he's the fucking man. But I think he'll be sitting behind Tannehill for a year, maybe a year plus, and then finally take over the job. And I think he could be good. I think he could be good because he's another guy who fell into a good situation, coaching staff, everything being what it is. I think that Vrabel is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think, in my opinion, but we've talked about that, and so, yeah, no, I like the landing spot for Levis now more, now that he's on the Titans. I like Levis more as a prospect, whereas I like Hendon Hooker less. I like Levis a lot more. So, and plus just because Treylon Burks, as for a fantasy perspective, yeah, Treylon Burks is going to be my keeper, and I'm like, that's something that could actually be a little bit better than I thought. Maybe, you never know. But maybe the following year, like a guy who I never would have thought I would keep more than 2 years, or more than 1 year, and then end up actually keeping him. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
Well, I think for one thing, for sure, we can all agree on, all three of us, is that Malik Willis stink.
Yeah, you, me, Anthony, and the Tennessee Titans organization, and every football fan who ever watched the Titans play with Malik Willis. Like they picked up. What was it? What was the guy's name? Josh
Dobbs over
Josh
Malik Willis.
Dobbs.
That's
a free agent quarterback or like a practice squad quarterback over him.
I would have got them down the field, bro.
I mean, it's like Malik Willis is in. No, not really. I mean, Jamarcus Russell is the complete end of the spectrum because he was the first overall pick, but Malik Willis is on that side of the equation, I think. Who else is notable from the draft? Anybody, John? Anybody else we didn't get a chance to talk about? What about the Packers?
Oh, teams? They didn't know.
Well, we also there's two other things I want to take. How about the Houston Texans? You're starting to get a lot of 50-50 with the whole drafting CJ Stroud and then trading up to get Will Anderson. I thought it was a great draft move. Some people thought it was a little bit of a reach. They could have, and I'm like, no, like you're arguably getting one of the better pass rushers. I know they signed a bunch of veterans. I know they I think the Texans, in my opinion, with their free agency signings, their draft moves, I thought it was a great draft from them. But I do, what I am going to say about the Packers is, what are they doing drafting a defensive end when they know since Aaron Rodgers for like the last 20 years that they need a receiver, and they continuously drop the ball? The Packers are going to be horrible. I would not be surprised.
They did draft a receiver. Not in the first round, though.
Yeah. But in the second
Yeah.
round, they drafted, I think it was like the second of, but when you glaringly need a position, go grab it. Don't get some defensive end when you know your defense is pretty solid. It's kept you into games. Green Bay's actually strength is their defense.
Yeah, but
And-
bro, if you're not going to draft a receiver when you have Aaron Rodgers, you think they're going to draft a receiver when they don't have Aaron Rodgers? Like, they are not going to draft a receiver in the first round. They're just not going to do it. It's just not how they do business. Like, sorry, Tyler, that's not how we do business.
They had a lot of draft picks. They drafted 3 receivers.
3.
Yeah, they did, but not in the first round. Yeah, they
No.
got a kid, Jaden Reed. I think was
Yeah.
their first, right? And then I don't know who the other guys were because they were kind of later picks. But the first guy who's like the quote unquote, like, you know,
Dante Vion with Wicks, and then Grant Dubose, and they got a tight end, Luke. Speaking of tight end, 2 tight ends they drafted. Dude, they went. I'm looking at it right now.
Wait, it might be undrafted free agents as well, no? Because how many picks?
Yeah, they drafted
5, 6.
But I know they drafted Jaden Reed. I know that for sure.
Speaking
Either way,
of tight end,
go ahead.
Kincaid.
Very interesting.
Very interesting for the Bills there. That was another one I was thinking of besides the Lions.
I think as a long-term prospect, it's awesome because it seems like everybody's predicting him to play the slot more than playing an actual inline tight end role. They think that Dawson Knox, I think, is still there, right?
Yeah,
Then
He'll be the
he'll be the more like, you know, blocking / inline tight end, and then Kincaid is expected to just be the slot receiver essentially, which gives him fantasy appeal that typically fantasy tight ends, rookie tight ends don't have. Usually you don't get anything from a rookie tight end in fantasy. It might take a year or 2 years unless it's a freak situation. So he's a guy who, like, I'm like, you know what, as a later round tight end, he's somebody to look at, especially like best ball as like your second tight end or whatever. He's certainly interesting because he could have at least those blow up games, you know? No,
I didn't think that. I didn't think they were going to go there. And I was one of those like.
But it's the Bills, and they are like they're the pass heaviest, John, right? They throw the most in the NFL. So,
the Chargers were
between them and
the Chargers were last year.
oh
Was
really?
it?
Remember last year the Chargers were like allergic to running the football.
Well, yeah, I actually know that because I had Eckler and Herbert. Eckler was like he came out with like 32 fantasy points. He rushed the ball, it was like 10 times for like 30 yards, and then it was like 8 catches for 80 and 2 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah,
That's
but
my
you'll take
boy.
it any way you can get it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I drafted him that year. I'm not drafting him this year.
Oh yeah. So okay, before we talk about and I think we're pretty much cool on the draft. Another difficult thing that's going to happen at the beginning of the season is the New York Jets schedule, right, John? They have by far the hardest first 8 game schedule in the NFL. Anthony, I don't know if you've been taking too much look at the schedule and how the games have stacked up. Now, everybody knew who the teams were playing against, but sometimes order matters because the Jets just have awesome team after awesome team after awesome team, just like coming right out of the gate for essentially the first 8 weeks of the season. John, how you feeling? What's like that opening schedule? Like you're looking at 2-6, 3-5, easily 2-6, 3-5. You know, obviously you hope for the other way around, but if I told you at the end of that schedule they were 3-5, you'd be like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it. I think the Jets, they created that schedule the way it was is because that team is supposed to be like, that defense is no joke. I think the Jets defense they're legit. But they're really thinking that like Aaron Rodgers is going to come to the Jets and like light up the entire league. And I
No,
think it's
the schedule is based off of how you finished last year and stuff. It's all rotated. It's not, it has nothing to do with the team and who you have.
yeah. I just the league last year. I mean, we also beat the Bills last year. You know, a lot of people forget that the Jets beat Buffalo last year.
Right, but that has nothing to do with it. It's what position did the Jets finish in? You know, in the division, first, second, third, or fourth.
They were fourth.
They were last in the division,
They were last in the division.
and so they're supposed to play teams that were also last in their division on their schedule, and then they're also supposed to play a certain division from the other conference.
Correct. Which is
So it rotates every year, which is why every 4 years they play against the Giants, which they're doing this year. So it has nothing to do with who they beat. It doesn't work like college football. It's not. It doesn't work that way. So they just ended up lucking out because the teams that were positioned to play against them, it's the NFC North or something, right? No, or I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, their schedule is absolutely brutal. It's by far the worst schedule at the beginning of the season. And
they have like 4 primetime games.
No, they have 6.
Yes, they have
six primetime games.
Giants have 5. That's wild.
Yeah, like the league is trying to promote the Jets for some reason.
Dude, fucking
Aaron Rodgers.
That Giant Jet game. Aaron Rodgers just doubled the Jets tickets last year. Like you can go to any game.
Oh, so by the way, I graduate college literally the week that the Jets play Miami. You know how much tickets are going for? Because my mom asked me. I was like, Mom, I'm not going to ask you to spend $176 with taxes per ticket. $176
just to get inside the building.
Just to get inside the building. That's not.
But that's the Aaron Rodgers effect, baby.
Yeah, and that's like probably like the worst seats in the house.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Just to get inside and walk around. But that's the Aaron Rodgers effect. That's why, you bring a guy, he's a superstar, you bring him to town. But imagine him in the New York media, surly as hell, when they start 3-5. Bro, it's going to be something else. When Manish Mehta is writing some shady shit behind his back and Rich Samini is like, bashing him and all the New York media is just completely ripping him week after week after week.
And then he retires.
It's going to be wild, dude. It's going to be a beautiful disaster.
And it just like Favre.
Well, Favre got injured.
Yeah, Favre got injured. That was a little bit of a different story. Rodgers, I just think that I don't know how he's going to handle the media because it's a brutal schedule. But I do have early predictions.
All I know is that my Christmas, guys, could be extremely ruined.
Why?
Giants, Eagles, Christmas Day, 4:30.
Before we move to the early predictions, okay, strength of schedule. Who do you think has the easiest schedule this year?
Probably the Eagles, just because they're so good. And
it's the Saints. The easiest schedules in order: Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Colts, Bears. Okay. Easiest schedule.
Really?
You'll notice a lot of shitty teams in there who picked it early in the draft because, again, the teams, how you finished is how your schedule is. So they finished bad, so they played a bunch of soft teams who also finished bad whenever possible in like their extra games because you play that division that ranks, that rotates out. The hardest schedules in the NFL, not just for the first half of the season, but for the whole season. The Patriots, Bills, Chiefs, Raiders, Dolphins.
Wow.
So yeah, and the Saints, their defense I think stinks, and they have easy schedules, and they stink. So I think they're going to be fun. They could potentially be fun for fantasy football. Put that on your little, notepad.
Also, Dennis Allen can't coach. Just want to let you know.
He's stupid. Yeah, he's bad. Yeah, no, he's bad.
Arthur Smith can't coach.
I don't know if it's that he can't coach. I just feel like he's so run heavy that it's frustrating because like guys like Kyle Pitts and Drake London should be straight beasting and they throw like 9 times a game. you know? Okay, John, give me some early predictions. Go for it.
Okay. I'm going to say that the New York Jets finished second in the AFC East.
To the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, to the Buffalo Bills, and Miami is third. And hear me out on this.
Go
The
ahead.
reason why I think the Jets have a more balanced team than Miami. I know Miami addressed that defense, but I just think Miami's defense is not the same as the Jets, and I think that small difference is going to make a difference. And I think that the Jets are going to have a rough beginning of the schedule, but I could see the Jets go on like a 6 to 7 game win streak at the end of the season.
Right. I agree with you. Okay, I'll say this. The Jets better not have gotten Aaron Rodgers and pay him whatever they're going to end up paying him so that he could end up going and like not finishing at least second in the division or maybe even first in the division, because we saw the Bills have a hard schedule. But then are they going to, even if they finish second in the division, do you think that means they make the playoffs?
I do. The Jets need to make the playoffs. I'm going to put it this way: if the
They're going to make the playoffs.
if the Jets don't make it to I'm going to put it this way, because expectations is this high, and the way they move the salary cap around. If the Jets don't make it to the AFC Championship, it's a failure of the season.
That's pretty. That's tough, man. I mean, the AFC is stacked. The AFC is fucking stacked, bro.
Well, I do think they'll finish second. I agree. I think they'll finish second in the division.
Hold on a second. You think they'll finish second in their division, but the AFC Championship game is the expectation? Like, how does that add up?
I didn't say that.
No,
Well,
I'm saying like
No,
John said that. John said that.
So the reason
How
why I'm
does that
saying
add up?
because they're going to have a rough beginning of the schedule. They're going to finish the season really strong. They're going to be one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs. And you know, that's just my opinion. I really think that number one is this: it's either the Dolphins or the Jets going into the playoffs. Like those two teams are going to be battling it out for that last wild card spot, in my opinion. And I think that the Jets being the hottest team going into there, like with Aaron Rodgers, with that defense, they're one of the more complete teams. In my opinion, if they don't make it to the AFC Championship game with all the talent that they've done and all this moving around, and we finally got a quarterback and this and that, I really think that if the Jets don't make it to the AFC Championship, it's a failure because of how much they did to get Aaron Rodgers. Like, and we only have a 2-year window to go for the Super Bowl, because we're going to be paying Aaron Rodgers a shit ton of money year 2. This is the year to win.
I like. Look,
The aggressive.
The thing is, I've been pretty consistent. I would love for both New York teams to be good. I would like the local teams to be good. Like I loved the Knicks playoff run, even though it was disappointing for them to lose. I love it when it's so much fun, and so I think that the Jets have to expect to finish no lower than second in the division. I think that they should really be trying to win that division, especially with Aaron Rodgers, not only this year but next year as well.
100% next year better than this.
Yeah, I agree, because they still need, like, they can still add.
I think both New York teams will finish second in their division.
I think that second in the division would be a disappointment, given all the things that the Jets have done and or are expected to do.
Listen, they finished last.
I don't think you're wrong. I'm just saying it would be a disappointment. I don't think you're wrong.
But
at all.
if they're getting into the playoffs, you would think.
That's the big question. How could someone expect AFC Championship and they don't even win their own division? Like, that's, to me, that's a reach. But again, I would love to see them do something crazy, like trade a second round pick next year and a second round pick the year after that for fucking DeAndre Hopkins or some crazy shit.
He's still up in the air to go, man. I think he's gonna go.
I would love that, because if they could add another receiving option to that team,
do that
yeah, the Jets would be like,
because the Cardinals were trading, like they were just giving everything away. They were like, give me for next year. So I thought, like, all right, Giants went ahead and got this guy. Maybe they'll give away their 2-3, or not 2-3, like a 2-4, whatever. Just like a 2 and a 2 and a 5. And then wow, man, because they traded up and they gave it. So stupid. But
It would be so crazy.
I thought he was personally going to go in the draft.
I'll say this: DeAndre, yeah, exactly. I'll say this: if the Jets get DeAndre Hopkins or another good like marquee receiver via trade before the season starts, I may actually buy tickets to a game. Or try to
avoid them.
Try to.
Yeah, it's gonna be like $200.
I have an interesting one that I think is going to be tough in AFC North. I'm going to give you two teams, and I want you to tell me, because I still think Bengals on top, but I want you to tell me who's second in that division, who's the better of the two going into this year, who's going to finish better, Ravens or
The Ravens.
Yeah,
The Ravens, not even close.
Really, not even close. I don't know, man.
Close. I honestly, I'm gonna even go as far as this: the Ravens win that division.
That's steep.
Nah, that's strong. Yeah, that's strong. The Bengals
Listen, they only had one more win than the Steelers last year.
Did the Bengals just play in 2 AFC Championship games in a row? Yeah.
I don't know. They only finished one more than them, so we'll see.
Don't disrespect my boys.
The Steelers had a decent draft. I think they a run.
I think they're still a year or two away. I'm not sure Kenny Pickett is that dude, but we'll still see.
They got him a lineman.
Y'all be forgetting about Deshaun Watson, bro. Like,
he's got to show me something before I believe in him.
Yeah,
he looked really bad. Yeah, he looked really bad. He looked. Do
you think the Jaguars finish on top again this year?
That division's going to be really bad. Number one.
The Colts are so interesting to me, bro. Like I just am I'm so interested because the Colts could just turn into like a Philadelphia clone. It could be real fun, real fast.
I see that one to me is like,
but I still think it's like this. Jacksonville wins that division.
Tennessee.
Pretty easy, but if Ryan Tannehill can stay healthy for the full season, Tennessee could give them a run for their money. And I would be very happy because that means that Treylon Burks is probably balling. But like the AFC South should be pretty interesting. But like John said, they're a lower quality division. But again, Trevor Lawrence could take that. If Trevor Lawrence could ascend this coming season and really become that guy. And we could be talking about the Jaguars as like a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, listen, they got the receiver threat. They got the running back.
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley's there. Nobody keep forgetting about that man.
Yeah. So I have one of my predictions is that we're going to see bigger production from rookie tight ends this season in fantasy than we've ever seen before. Because the guys like Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta are going to be
interesting.
Michael Mayer.
I don't know about Mayer because I'm questioning the efficacy of a Jimmy Garoppolo-led Josh McDaniels Las Vegas Raiders team. I'm not so sure that they're going to be like stacking points the way that Derek Carr and Devontae Adams were. But, we'll see.
Well, I'm going to argue this about that division. I think it's definitely Kansas City Chargers. I think we could all agree on that. I think that
NFC South, bro.
I think that Denver,
AFC South and NFC South are the most interesting open ones, in my opinion. Where what
were you saying, John? Hold on a second. What were you saying?
So I think Denver gets 8 wins this coming year.
8 wins.
8 wins. And I'm going to say this. It has nothing to do with Russell Wilson. I think coaching makes a difference.
Yeah, defense.
And I think this is going to be a tough season for Sean Payton. I think he's going to lose some really close games. And I'm going to go that Josh McDaniels gets fired after the season.
Maybe Josh McDaniels. But speaking of Sean Payton, his former team, the Saints, are in the NFC South. Anthony, what was that about the NFC South?
I said it's the NFC South and the AFC South. That it's just it's to me it's one of those like who's gonna take it. NFC South more than AFC. So like Tampa Panthers. I guess you could just assume or give Panthers the edge, but like who comes out on top of that division?
I definitely give the Panthers the edge there. The
But like
Saints,
anybody's game
the
except
Saints are
Falcons.
Saints are interesting because of the Derek Carr thing.
Right.
But as John mentioned, the coach is dumb. I don't think that Arthur Smith is as dumb maybe as John thinks he is, and I do think that running game is interesting, but their team, they don't know how to build a team, obviously. I think they did okay in the draft later on, if I'm not mistaken. They put some pieces in there, but yeah, the NFC South is kind of a toss-up right now. I think it's anybody's ball game. I'm not really
Oh,
sure.
for sure. Who's going to come out for that one? I don't know. You got to, like I said, I would go Panthers is the person I would gamble on, but literally, it's anybody's game.
I think it's the Panthers that I would probably bet on, and I also think another. It's not so much a hot take, but something that is pretty clear is that Bijan is going to fucking smash if he stays healthy this year. He's going to just ball out because they're going to give him the ball so much.
What round does he get drafted in fantasy? Second? You think first? You think so?
Easy. I agree.
Yeah, no question.
Now I'm going to argue, actually, as much as I don't like Arthur Smith, I'm going to argue that Atlanta wins this division.
Because of Bijan?
It's not Bijan. I think that they did enough in the draft.
I don't think so. They still don't have a quarterback, dude. Desmond Ridder? I don't know, man. I mean, that would shock the world. Bro, I'll tell you what. That would be really fun to see, but I don't think Ridder is that dude. I mean, I think next year, here's the thing.
I don't think he's gonna
Atlanta's
do a lot, though.
Bro, wouldn't it be sick if Atlanta ends up turning around and getting Caleb Williams next year? Oh, that would be cool. Because then Caleb Williams back with Drake London, right? Didn't they play together?
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, or I don't know if they're the same.
No,
Drake London, my boy.
So next year, I did want to let you know next year's draft is going to be very fun. Very fun.
Yeah, that's going to be good. We might have to do something interesting for the draft, like maybe do an online live stream or something like that.
Next year's draft?
Yeah, there's a couple of really good quarterbacks, including one guy who's like a top prospect. There's Marvin Harrison Jr., the receiver, who's fucking sick. So yeah, there's some pretty, and then there's a lot of other guys that are coming out. But imagine Atlanta turns around, gets the first pick in the draft, and drafts Caleb Williams. Holy shit! That's what I want. That's what I want to happen right now.
That's what I want.
So go. All right. So Anthony mentioned earlier about the NFC East, and he thinks it's going to be Philly, Giants, Cowboys, Washington. Honestly, I'm be quite frank with you. I don't think that is too far fetched. Dallas stinks, dude. They're not that good. They can't beat good teams. They do it time in and time out. But the Cowboys, for some reason, they win 10 plus games. They've been doing it. Yeah.
I'll tell you this. They fired Kellen Moore, who went to San Diego, which is awesome. And they brought in Brian Schottenheimer, if I'm not mistaken, to run more, pass less, score less quickly. Dallas is going to be a dumpster fire this year. I'm interested to see what the Washington team does in a lot of different respects. I think the Giants will finish in second place, but I don't think it matters because the Eagles are so much better than almost everybody in the conference. It's the Eagles, the 49ers, and then everybody else. Right. So until somebody else announces themselves as on that level, then talk to me in the playoffs when it's Eagles, Niners, because those are the best teams, and they're not particularly close.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think it's time for Dallas to move on from Dak?
Yes.
No.
Ship him out. Buy, sell high.
I mean, in that case, you have a point. I could see them doing that, or I could see value in doing that, where they trade him to a team that a quarterback away.
They trade him before the deadline. No, but after this year, they trade him
to Atlanta.
To Atlanta. So I was going to say, you trade him to Atlanta after this year. Get him get out there with D and Bijan.
Nah, he's the guy who you trade to like Tennessee.
You're the
know?
only 10 I see.
I really want Caleb Williams to go to the Falcons, dude. Oh, that would
That's
be
why you
so
didn't want him
sick.
to trade him.
Wow.
No,
So-
Dallas trade Dak to Washington.
So let me ask you this: the NFC North, that's an interesting division this year. Very.
I think
interesting.
it's going to be fantasy fun, but I think the Vikings are going to win it pretty easily.
Correct.
And then,
yeah.
and then Lions.
No, I would say the Bears before the Lions. The Bears got better this
Did
year.
a lot of good upgrades this in the draft.
Yeah, and the Lions did some dumb shit. The Lions are going to be fun for fantasy, but their defense is bad. The Bears and the Lions will battle it out for second and third, and then the Packers will be in last place.
Yeah,
this year.
and that's wild, right?
Yeah, that's what a Hall of Famer will do for you. But they were bad last year. The Packers were bad. Let's not forget. Let's not forget. Let's not forget Aaron Rodgers was bad last year, and I'm going to keep saying it until we see he's good, because everybody's getting so fucking geeked up about this Jets team, and I could be excited about as much as anybody, but you can't. He stunk last year. He was not good. He was bad.
Now you have the question now, was that all him just because he's now declining, or is that just
I think he only threw,
juju, he was just not into it. He didn't want to be there.
But Dave, we talked about it in an episode last year. I think he only threw over 300 yards like 2 or 3 times last year or something like that.
I think it was once or twice.
Like once or twice.
Once
so
or
whatever.
twice,
It was
yeah.
like an absurd number. And like if you looked at like his entire career, like he threw over 300 yards, like average.
Tons.
Like easy.
Fellas, and he threw a ton of interceptions. I watched a lot of Packers football this year because I had Aaron Jones, and it was insane how uncomfortable he looked out there. He looked out of sorts. He looked like he didn't want to be there. It was crazy. So
Now, that's the thing, is it because he wasn't happy there, or which is
like
just
he's not getting along, whatever the case may be, I want to see it happen. I want to see
sometimes you need that change. You've been somewhere too long. You kind of just get complacent. You're like, meh. Now he's going to go somewhere where it's New York and it isn't a joke, and the fans are aggressive, and the media is just going to be like, is this how he wants to end his career? So he's got to come in with all of it, I think. So I think talented quarterback, and if the problem last year was just mental and not physical and talent wise, then he should come out better than last year, you would hope.
Yeah, I agree. He's going to have a point to prove. He's going to be one of those guys that has an axe to grind.
Yeah, I'm going to put it
going
this
to
way.
a better team. He's got an all-around better team. The Jets defense is legit, and you have some weapons on that offense, and he left a good run game, running back situation there that they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing with. And now he's not like, he has that full background. He's got Alan Lazard. They signed Randall Cobb. That's all they needed, bro. He just needed him in the locker room to be like, bro, you got this. Look at my eyes. Look at my pretty eyes.
Look at my green eyes.
Yeah, I don't even know, bro. They're the only color I ever made.
All right, final thoughts here. Final thoughts. Besides like the big,
there was one
Okay.
division I wanted to talk about, and that was what did you think? And we haven't even talked about this team, the Los Angeles Rams. What are your predictions on the Los Angeles Rams? Are they done? Like they won their Super Bowl and like they're going to be bad for a long time? Like, what's that?
Who's their quarterback? Oh no, that's right. Stafford's going to be back. Okay, I think they'll be okay. They'll be competitive, but I think they're just going to be another team this year. They're not going to be contenders.
Yeah, I think they're going to finish in the same spot they did, and that's third. I think they finished third.
Yeah, they're just not going to be contenders. There's nothing. They're hurting from their Super Bowl run, but they got their championship, so it doesn't matter.
They traded it. They gave it all up for that year. And
it's a surprise. The biggest surprise is that McVay didn't retire and go into media. That's the biggest surprise. I can't believe he's actually still coaching that team.
It's crazy. Now let me
Yeah.
ask
he's
you
young.
about that division. Do you think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be
Terrible.
the worst team in the
Yeah,
NFL?
they're tanking it for next year.
Yeah, like they could finish with the first or second overall pick. If they have the first pick, you could see them draft Caleb Williams and move on from Kyler Murray. If they have the second pick, they're definitely taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, which is another reason why if I was them, I would try to be trading DeAndre Hopkins this year
To get another first round
for the
And Kyle-
Jets or
or
Giants.
second round. Yeah,
Like
You can't trade Kyler Murray until you get that pick. But whatever the case, yeah, they're going to be bad. They're going to be very, very
Kyler
bad.
Murray to
That's
Atlanta.
NFC West is going to be the 49ers and everybody else.
pretty much.
The Seattle's going to be fun. Seattle's going to be good. Seattle
They'll
will be
finish
fun.
second.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. I think they're a playoff team. Yeah,
For sure.
they'll be good.
Well, if homeboy plays like that again,
So that was going to be my final thoughts question. Like, who do you think, besides like the big main teams, your Eagles, your 49ers, who do you think are going to be teams that surprise people in the NFC?
Can we say, and I think we're all going for Detroit to make it to the playoffs. Like, I really want.
I want them to, but I don't think they will.
I'm off Detroit. I'm off Detroit now. I would rather. I'm onto the Bears. I'll take the Bears in that division for fun, and I liked what the Vikings are doing for fun as well. Like that's a team that I would love to see get a good quarterback. But
Carolina.
But yeah, the Bears are a fun team.
Carolina. I mean, Vikings had a great year.
Carolina could be a powerhouse. They have a rookie
or a shit
quarterback.
show.
Yeah.
A rookie quarterback who looks like a middle schooler.
Well, the Vikings had like some lucky games last year.
I think my answer is going to be either the
Giants.
Seattle Seahawks. See the Giants. I wish they got a receiver. If they could get a receiver, I would put them right on this list right now. They'd be a fucking real, true consideration for me. But what about one of those NFC South teams? Like what about like
None of them.
the
Chargers.
NFC South is so bad.
what if
Chargers.
what if the Saints with Derek Carr and what if Michael Thomas comes back healthy? They have Chris Olave. They have Alvin Kamara. No, he's not going to be there. Never mind. Kamara's not going to be there. They have Jamal Williams. They have some other guys. What if the Saints pull it together? That's not fun for anybody, but
Well, I mean, that's why it's in a division where the whole thing's wide open.
it's
Imagine
true.
the Saints just come in on top and they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek makes Derek Carr the champ.
I'm gonna say the Vikings. I'm gonna say the Vikings are
Good call.
the. Yeah, I'm gonna say for sure. I called it actually last year that they were gonna win the division, and I think the Vikings are again gonna be the third team in the division. But as Dave, I'm gonna go with Dave. What Dave said last year, they are who they are, and they are a fraud. They are the biggest third powerhouse fraud team, and they're. I don't know.
All my life, the Vikings, I've said it the same, and it's always been true somehow. It's that they're always a waste of a playoff spot. I don't know why.
Yeah, dude,
it's always been that way.
Well, they had a very lucky year.
Did you talk about an NFC team, Anthony? I'm sorry.
NFC team, like for me, and not because I'm a fan, but it's just because of what a difference the first year made, and the having a couple good players, and then there still being the time off, made a couple moves in the off season. High risk, high reward, I think they have a high ceiling.
Mhm.
The schedule, I think they're in the middle of the pack as far as how tough their schedule is, so that's a plus. The only downfall is they play the Eagles twice, but the positive is they play the Commanders and the Giants, the Cowboys twice, and those teams are looking more poopy doopy. And we had a problem. I think we went 1-1 with the boys. Might have even lost both of them, but I think we might have went 1-1. So where now we could get 4 wins right out of those two, you would think or hope so. And they could go in the playoffs and surprise us again. But it doesn't matter. Whoever plays the Eagles is going to lose.
My prediction of next year, it's the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Easy.
I think they're going to the Super Bowl for sure.
And this is the year that the actual Super Bowl. Like, this is the year that the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
They
No matter
better.
who comes out of the AFC East.
What's
This
the
is-
spread? What's the Vegas spread right now? Not a lot, probably. Also, while you're doing that, one team
Mhm.
we have not mentioned, and they are the reigning champs.
Kansas City.
What's your take on them next year, John?
They're
They're
gonna be
AFC
right
Championship game.
AFC Championship game. If they could beat Joe Burrow, or Josh Allen or the Jets next year, that's the, I just think that the AFC the AFC is you have to go through Kansas City. Whoever beats Kansas City,
So,
in my opinion, they're the ones that are going to be in the Super Bowl.
so on the
Kansas
AFC
City?
side, it's going to be either Kansas City
Hard to bet against them.
or the Bengals going to the Super Bowl.
You would think so. It's the four teams basically that I think John just said. It's Kansas City, the Bengals, the Bills, and the Jets. Those are the four teams in the AFC that you would expect to see in. Let's see.
I mean, can I throw a fourth in there?
The
I
Dolphins.
did. I just said four.
Fifth?
I
I'm
just
sorry,
said
a fifth. A
You
fifth
said
for
a
like
fifth?
a flinger.
Who would it be? Who would it be?
Chargers.
Come on, bro. Stop with the Chargers, bro.
You stop. My peoples.
Yo, Brandon Staley. Dave,
Oh wow! Look at this. Go ahead, John.
Brandon Staley. He stinks.
Well, okay. Timeout. Timeout. They just brought in Kellen Moore, though, bro. I think this could be Justin Herbert's best season.
Your boys last time keeping him too.
Yeah, this could be his best season so far. Because Kellen Moore is actually a very good offensive coordinator. He's the guy who made Dak be so prolific. So Dak now has a shitty offensive coordinator, and Herbert got the good offensive coordinator and the good offense. So this could be good for them, but it's still the Chargers, so I'm not buying it. The Chiefs had the best odds to win the Super Bowl at plus 600. The Eagles are at plus 650.
Oh,
The Bills are at plus 900. The Niners are at plus 1,000. Then Bengals, then Cowboys. Holy shit. The Cowboys are sixth, and the Jets are at plus 1,800,
So wait, what are the Bengals plus like 1,100?
plus 1,200.
And the Jets.
Ooh, you know what? Cincinnati might be a good Vegas bet.
Jets
I mean-
at plus 18. What are the Giants?
The Giants are plus 6,500.
Because of the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you guys are a long shot, man. You know.
I'll throw $10 on that.
sure. Have fun burning $10. Can I just have it?
Maybe. What if the Eagles?
I'd rather.
What if
bet
Hurts
on,
goes down?
I'd rather bet on like the Vikings.
But what if Hurts?
If Hurts goes down, then San Francisco's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Plain and simple.
with their third string quarterback.
Well, he's the first string quarterback now. Brock Purdy he's legit. Kid is legit. Imagine him coming in with like a full off season. I mean, he had the surgery, or he just had the injury.
Who's starting for the next year? For this
Brock
coming year?
Purdy.
Well, Brock Purdy's going to be hurt for the first couple of weeks. I thought.
I don't think so, because it was a question of like him getting a surgery or not getting a surgery and being ready or not ready. I think they're preparing for him. They're preparing as though he's going to be the guy. It seems
he had like good numbers, so can't ride a hand a little bit.
Oh, and then Trey Lance, man, what's going to be his story?
I don't know.
it should be interesting because they traded a lot to get him. They traded a lot to get him.
Yeah. Well,
Oh well, and he's forever tied to Zach Wilson in my mind. But with that being said, I think we'll wrap it up right there. Then we'll get back together, and I will see you guys then, where it's always Sunday.